Internet, and welcome to roughly the 100th Wednesday serial. This one's going to be a little different. I'm talking about community, and I'm going to be replying to a lot of people and talking more about doing the whole YouTube thing than ever reviewing a comic. Though you've been warned, this is more for the fans than anyone else. Fans. So this all started with a pile of cookie dough that was sent to Howlermouse, and he went off on a glorious, one of the best YouTube videos I've ever seen, about the comic book community on YouTube, and I wanted to reply to a few things. He talked about how most comic fans are in their 30s to 50s, from the golden age of comics, and I'm about a quarter of a century old, not quite there, and I grew up with comics. I've always loved comics. It's always been a part of my life, and kind of as BBQ Forever, the BBQ Forever screen names, mentioned, I'm younger. I'm not as young as him. Kudos to him. But he said, it's always been a part of my life, but I had to save for comics. They were never a quarter for me. Well, a few times, but never regularly a quarter. And when I started collecting, I would only collect back issues. I'd only start by going back to the older bins. Generally, the comics would cost, I guess, a touch more for that, but they'd already come with the bore, and they'd usually be only slightly over cover price, so it worked out in my head. Once I started collecting, mind you, from the store instead of from the grocery store or whatever. And I'd only want to collect like full stories. I didn't want to deal with the to be continued when I began, and slowly things developed, and I started keeping up with things, and then I'd be able to go back and buy entire runs by the time I was in college or whatnot. But in the beginning, I'd save $20, and that was going to either Spider-Man, X-Men, or Turtles, and like nothing else. So that's where it began, and never stopped loving any of those books except for X-Men for periods of time, because there's good points of X-Men and bad points of X-Men, as I'm sure you seasoned collectors know. While I'm on it, the BBQ Forever, who I just found today, brought up a point in his video in response to Howlermouse's video about this thought of running out of ideas, or running out of ideas for a story. And I just wanted to say to that, it's less running out of ideas, but when a creator, usually the writer, runs out of good ideas is when they need to move on. It's not that they run out of ideas, but for instance, I just read today Torment, which for some reason is a acclaimed arc by Todd McFarlane for Spider-Man. It is like Todd McFarlane wrote a fan fiction of Spider-Man. Spider-Man doesn't talk for 3 entire comics of this 5-issue run. Mind you, Spider-Man, and he's not bound or gagged or anything. Spider-Man does not talk for these issues, and then he draws it in, and that's just it's a bad idea. And that was pretty much Todd McFarlane's last stint at Marvel, and then he moved on. To go back to Howlermouse, he talks about what are comics about, and he talks about the idea of the morality in comics, which I find interesting and very enlightening and kind of relevant to something I've dealt with lately. I've been dealing with a lot of people lately, supposed comic fans, dealing with all the moral stuff, and they grew up in an older age when there was really only the more moral characters. And throughout my time, I grew up with back reading like Transmet, Preacher, Deadpool, where your main characters were the heroes, but they were jerks on some level too, and I really adore those characters. But maybe it's my own perspective, but in dealing with these people and how they deal with life when when they're not thinking about comics, it's kind of whatever needs to get done, business is business, whatever. But I always try to take the more humanist approach, I find, and try to include others, consider others' feelings and whatnot, or what would they think, and that's not the MO. And it's interesting to think these people are comic fans. I feel like comics are just such a part of my life, and on some level, in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking Spider-Man, Ninja Turtles, X-Men, what would they do? And for that, I don't know, maybe I am a better person than I would be otherwise. That's an interesting idea, and the morality that we get for reading all these stories, good or bad. I mean, I think to learn morality kind of in inverse from The Walking Dead is a very legitimate view, and it's something totally worth exploring. And since Hellermouse brought it up and is totally something I'm used to, yeah, something worth looking at and totally worth thinking about. Just thought I'd reiterate that with my own drunken flair. Another poignant view that Hellermouse brought up that everyone else responding to this video has talked about is the idea of giving back what these videos are worth, like the idea that we're chronicling a bit of history, chronicling something, and it's an interesting, great, beautiful, wonderful, somewhat optimistic, but whatever, idea, and that's great. Truth be told, though, I only look at videos the way that I look at others' videos. I only assume people would digest what I put out the way I digest what they put out. I think that's only fair, and I rarely go back to look at videos. If I find a video, I might go back, watch one or two, kind of get an idea of what people are about, subscribe or not, and then take them as they go. And if I don't like what they're saying as much, or honestly in a lot of cases, a lot of you people are so motivated, and that's great, but goddamn, if I see like 20 videos in a row, I can't handle it, and I'll unsubscribe and then come back to you at my leisure. But and nothing against these people, it's just I honestly don't quite have the time to trudge through, honestly, what's like, in some cases, like 5 hours in a row of what you people upload. I don't know how you do it. It's amazing. But yeah. But I always try to... I've done a lot of piles recently, especially with the DC stuff. I felt like there's something to be gained by me going through every book, at least until I burnt out. Flat out, I burnt out with the DC 52 on top of my other stuff. I stopped liking comics as much. It put a bitter taste in my mouth to read that many comics I didn't like, and I've never dealt with that before. And so I always try to pick one or two comics, usually with my videos, if you do bother to go look back. I mean, you can tell by the titling alone, usually. And except where I'm like 3.2, the date. But no, I try to find a point, and then talk about that. So that's what I'm going to try to get back to, and try to be a bit more poignant. And now I want to talk about Ghost Critic for a minute, because more than anything else, this being kind of a 2011 wrap-up time, he was like one of two comic reviewers I was watching throughout 2011. I just did not have many people I knew about or was looking at in 2011, and nothing against any of you. You just, I was off YouTube compared to where I had been before, and I just didn't hear about many of you that I've launched onto recently. A Ghost Critic, though, I did hear about and did know, mostly through Waste of Potential 616. And man, his reviews are awesome. And again, I don't watch all of his stuff. No offense, again, but this goes for a lot of you out there. Unboxing videos, I don't get. If you like him, whatever, all that much for it, please comment below if you do unboxing videos or enjoy unboxing videos. I just don't understand the appeal. Maybe if someone was to tell it, maybe I could review one and check it out. But I mean, someone showing me what they have, I just don't get a lot of joy of. If they have a thought about it, though, the reviews, right? That's what I find interesting. I like to hear what people think about a story that they've read, not what's in their hand. So there you go on that. To that end, Ghost Critic mentioned me twice in his video of the community bit, which, oh my gosh, that fed my narcissism like nothing else. He also mentioned a lot of other people, and I'm going to try to catch up with some of these other people, but he said that my videos made him think a little bit more about what he was reading. Oh my god, that is the most glorious thing anyone has ever said about my videos. Thank you. That's my aim. That's my goal. Most of the time, I'm pushing out videos because I feel like I should, and I probably don't put as much time in as I should. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. The second thing he said is I did a shout out for him because, as I said, he's one of the only people I was watching throughout the year. And so I gave him a shout out video, which is something I like to do, where if there's a reviewer that I've been enjoying for a while, I just like to, whoever bothers to watch my videos, thank you so much, and I want to share the wealth and push those videos to you as well. So that's just my way of giving back to the community a little, and something I've been doing since I found people I liked. Now that I've talked about all of that, I kind of wanted to go back kind of through my YouTube career, if you will, and kind of talk about some highlights of this whole deal. Because Ghost Critic did his, and Howler Mouse did a bit of his, and I feel like I've had a bit of a unique experience, so I kind of wanted to talk about it for a minute. Way back when. On a lark, I found something called Dylan Directs on YouTube. Actually, I found it through a Deadpool forum that I was on at the time, because that was when I was obsessed with Deadpool, before Way started writing him, basically. And it was so interesting. This guy was on here and he was talking about comics, and he was clearly well-read in comics, had some interesting thoughts, and I thought it was pretty cool, but I was in college at the time. I just didn't have time to really explore more, but I watched his videos every now and again, along with very few other things I bothered with YouTube at the time. And then after college, I had a bit more time and was online a bit more, so I caught up with his stuff, but at that point, he was more or less phased out. Before I ever started doing videos, he was done. He was out. But he's kind of what got me to even look at it. And then from him, on this, what was then the sidebar, I found Grandland, who did amazing reviews. To this day, I wish he was still doing it. I believe his name was Mark. It's been so long. He had amazing reviews. He ran his own shop, so clearly he knew his stuff. He rarely said anything negative, as he was running a comic shop. Totally fair. But he turned me on to some books that I'm still reading today. I would have never heard of Atomic Robo, or not as soon, if it were not for him. And I loved that, and I miss him to this day, and I wish he would come back. From there, I found CCW, Comic Culture Warrior, which led me to Jose Melendez and Elliot Serrano, who are two figures that played in later at my life. I'll come back. And from there, I found Pelican Star, and there's some stuff there I don't want to talk about publicly, but she's awesome, she's great. She's another one I'd like to see do videos. Through her, when we actually met, I actually met Super Kello, who I know Ghost Critic misses, and I do too, and I wish he'd go back to videos. He had this under, was it 50 hits? And putting more effort into videos, or comic review videos, than I see nearly anyone else do. And awesome. Awesome guy. Just wish he had a little more chutzpah to keep doing it, but he's busy. He's a teacher, and wow. To get back, I mean, this, when I was looking at all these guys, I was at the height of everything with YouTube, and things were going, and I made some connections. CCW was kind of spurting off at that point, and I was working with the local convention, Denver Comic Fest, which will be coming around again this year, and I will be attending, possibly helping. And second year I was doing it, actually, and I got Elliot Serrano to come down. He was awesome guest, totally ripped me a new one with a few things, but yeah, whatever. Awesome guy, came down, and I'd seen him previously at C2E2. If you look through my past bits, you will see my interview with him, where he just schools me. And then, also, when I was at C2E2, I met Jose, who is the other half of CCW, and at that point, Jose was pretty much running IMJ. I know I've talked about this before. I had a falling out with the IMJ people, and then after that, I was kind of bitter on the whole comic review thing. I kind of took a half hiatus. I don't know, I did some videos, but I was always kind of about it, because I got burned. I got burned. But anyways, backtracking, I started making videos July 30th, 2009. I started with 2 videos. One was talking about why I didn't like Way's Deadpool. And then the other one was talking about Amazing Spider-Man at the time, which was something I was kind of... whatever. That's come and gone. I love Spider-Man, and he's always going to be one of my favorite characters. Nothing I can do about that at this point. It's just ingrained in my blood. Yeah, and so I went through, and again, through making all these videos, that's when I made the connection with CCW, with Pelican Star, with everyone, and it was crazy. Just by making my half-assed YouTube videos, which I started with, by the way, I missed this, because I just got out of college and I was an English major, and part of being an English major is literary criticism. Now, none of my videos are full-on literary criticism. I will not take the time or the research or the length that it puts to go into a full literary criticism to any one of these books. The closest I came were my Daredevil videos, and those were a lot of work, and they got like no views, and I just petered out, and it took me like a year to get back to finish reading Daredevil after that, much less talking about it, which yeah, but I do have a literary criticism background, so when I talk about some things, if they're howdy whatever questions, you know, feel free. But that's part of the reason I want to get people thinking about. And one thing that I loved about what Ghost Critic said is he said we've had some dialogue, almost debate, and that's what I love. I love getting in and talking about the ideas or the ideals brought up by the books, and jousting with it and talking with people with it. And I don't care if we disagree on some stuff, as long as we can respectfully talk about it. That's what's great, and that's what I love, and that's where I run into problems with IMJ. Yeah. So anyways, since then, there's been some other great people I've talked to. Edward2962, he does some great retro reviews and whatnot. Great stuff. Kermias, I don't know if I pronounced that right, and I am so sorry, man. He is the one person I have sent probably hundreds of whenever someone subscribes saying, thank you for the subscription, if you have any requests, please ask. He's one of the few people that have sent me a request, asking me to talk about Batman Beyond, and since he asked me that, not one has been released. There is one coming up within the next 2 months, I believe. It was actually a digital first, and it will be coming out in print soon, but I'm already signed up for it, so I'm gonna buy the print. Whatever. I love Batman Beyond. So yeah, I'll talk about that. I might go back and try to find the Superman Beyond comics too. Sidetrack. But yeah, great guy, and he's one of the few people that have commented on my videos regularly, and I love him for that. Again, Waste Potential 616, man, I miss your stuff, and I actually tried contacting him once, like trying to get a little more extra dialogue going, and I don't know, I wonder if I freaked him out. But he's awesome. I just wish he would speak up a little in his videos. It's hard to hear him sometimes. And again, Superkilla, oh my god, please come back. Also, anybody watching, I've talked to Ghost Critic about trying to do some sort of like collaboration video. I don't know how I don't know how you'd go about doing that. I was talking about maybe trying to do a podcast with him. I don't know if anyone would listen to that. Any ideas or interest in that, please let me know. Either way, I love to do something with you, Ghost Critic. And then the other person who I've been watching this year, on top of Ghost Critic, because I said there were two, was Terra Geek. She's amazing, and she's the closest reviewer I found to kind of doing what I kind of aim to do, instead of doing like a bazillion videos. Again, you guys are awesome, but most of you do what I like to call the stack videos, where you just, whatever you got that week, you're just talking about. That's fine, that's good, it's one style, that's all I'm saying. She tends to take one comic or one idea and run with it. Yeah. The other amazing thing that happened slightly before the whole falling out with IMJ was Comic Uno was part of this whole thing with Comic Vine, and I got to be a part of that, talking about the big Superman comic that had come out, and that was an experience, and it was great to be a part of that, and I'd love to do something like that again. I've never felt so honored to be part of a YouTube video. Not a lot of competition there, but again, very honored. A couple other people I wanted to mention really quick is Egoraptor. I'd talk with him. He's working on a comic, and he has an understanding of horror, and especially the, and I don't know if you've ever phrased it like this, but I was reading Godland, so this came to me the other day, the cosmic horror, the idea that the universe or elements in the universe would be against us, not necessarily neutral. He plays with that very well, and he has a grasp on it that I don't know if I've seen even professionals quite attain. And he took it upon himself because he wanted to write, but I mean, he just took it upon himself to draw it, and just amazing every time I saw whatever he sent. We kind of stopped talking. I'd love to see where he's at. Yeah, good luck with that, man. And I'd love to see some more videos. If you haven't seen his videos, sometimes he whines a little around, but he has some amazing insight that I've heard no one else bring up on anything, so definitely worth your while. And then the other is, I'd be amiss if I did not thank Gay Comic Geek. Half of my subscribers that do never watch my videos, but well, I'm sure some do, but he did two things. I mean, he helped me out. I did a shout out for him, and that's, I still think, my most viewed video, and I was part of a costume contest judging thing for him that I thank him again for letting me be a part of. He's just been a great thing. He's, as far as comic YouTube reviewers and community goes, like, he's a force. Like, he's his own thing. He's part of YouTube paid. Like, he's his own thing, and kudos to him for getting that far. Someone else I'd like to mention, since I talked about C2E2, was getting to room with It's Just Another Random Guy. He does those crazy toy videos and stuff that did like promotion for C2E2 and stuff. I actually got the chance to meet him, room with him, talk with him. I have no hope that he'd be watching this video, but great, amazing guy. Has lots of stuff, and if you have not checked out his videos, most of it's like Marvel vs. DC, and hilarious stuff, awesome. Go check that out. Another part of the comic community, not necessarily reviews, but totally worth it. So, yeah, also, I kind of wanted to apologize. Like I said, the DC 52 burned me out. Not only was I not reviewing comics, I read very few comics for about a month now. I'm back on it. Like, I've been looking at stuff, I'm like, I want to read that, I want to read that, I want to reread that. Oh my god, the comic bug hit me again. I just needed a breather. Man. I can't promise you too many videos. I am busy. I have been hired to write a video game. I am helping out with Denver Comic Con. I am looking at helping out my comic club, writing for stuff for that. I'm encouraging stuff like that. Possibly starting my own mini-con within my own city, which is not Denver, but Boulder, and trying to promote comics and local artists through that, which are people that I'd like to interview more, which you might have seen with my Layla Lani video, which was something pretty cool. Also my Frank Romero video. And there's a lot of people in Denver, and there's a lot of history with comics and stuff there, especially indie stuff. And I mean, if you haven't looked at some stuff, I want to talk about a bit more, but there's some interesting stuff, and wherever you're living, there's some amazing local people. I can almost guarantee it. Whenever you're at a con or something, you have $5 extra, whatever, buy their comic, check it out, because you're not probably going to find it anywhere else. You're not going to think to buy it any other time, and it's going to be creative and interesting. Even if it's not the best comic you read all year, it's $5 well spent. You're supporting a local artist, and you're supporting the art, and totally. It's amazing. Personally, I have a baby project called Mitch Middle Class Merc Mitch the Middle Class Merc. I can say my own title, which I am working on with my roommate. We're working on revamping it. When we're done with that, I'm hoping to get distribution to the point where I can have it more than at conventions. And if any of you are interested, honestly, if any of you are interested as comic reviewers, I'd probably get it out to you if you promise to talk about it. How about that? Yeah, I'm doing all that, and then there might be another comic festival. I have a full-time job. I'm trying to keep up with friends. I have a girlfriend that needs. Just joking. I love you. Yeah. Holy crap, if you stayed through all this, thank you. And thank you for watching my videos. I want to take you back to the very beginning and talk about my first comic story. I kind of hope to talk about more of these, but Howlermost did some of these, and I kind of wanted to at least do one. I'm hoping to do more, but the very beginning, I was in a kindergarten class, and there were a bunch of weird foo-foo fantasy books, I don't know, whatever it was, and my second grade teacher brought my mother, because I was not reading, and the second grade teacher said, "Your son will not read." My mom said, "Well, what do you think's causing that?" The second grade teacher said, "You know, I don't know, he's just not picking anything up," and all that. My mom looked at me, and she said, "Well, is there any reason you're not reading?" And I was looking at some, like, 3 princess books sitting there. My mom said, "Well, is there any reason you're not reading?" I said, I don't want to read any of this, or whatever the second grade equivalent is. And then my mom said, "Well, is there anything you do want to read?" And I don't know why. Something possessed me to say, comics. I wanted to read comics. The second grade teacher gave her a look. My mom took me to the drugstore right away. You know, EMT, hit me up. And my mom bought me this. Now this comic is frayed, it's lost, and I would not have any other copy. This was sitting on a bookshelf on its own. It has water damage. Whatever. This was the Batman Adventures comic of the Batman cartoon, which I'm sure you all remember. I was watching. 4th one. And this was the first comic I ever read. This was the gateway. And what's really ironic is this comic is about this Batman fighting the Scarecrow. And the Scarecrow creates this drug that makes it so that people can't read. And that's where that issue ends. Next month, I'm hooked. I pick up, read issue 5, and Batman makes it so that people can read again. And that was my first experience with comics, and that's what brought me in. Now, it's especially kind of funny because Batman is not my favorite character. Soon after is all about Ninja Turtles, and I looked at Spider-Man and X-Men, like I've said. But I might talk about some of those later. But yeah, that's what brought me into comics right there. So I remember that vividly, and that's one of my strongest memories. And I've never stopped. I've never stopped reading. I used to be an avid reader of books and whatnot, and I had a few teachers that, honest to God, killed my love of reading books. But I've never stopped loving comics, and I've always wanted to pursue creating them, and now I'm, at least in some capacity, doing that. And I'm talking about it, reviewing it, and I get to talk about it with you people. And that's something I never really had growing up. I had a couple of friends along the way that I could talk about comics with, and recently, someone who worked at the comic shop I get to talk comics with. Also, I've got to talk with a few of my friends. My roommate Yanni, who sometimes watches these, hey. And then Dan, Blue XE, EXE videos. Check out his animations, they're pretty cool. Get to talk with him, and I've known him since high school, but he doesn't quite have as much, and so I've never really got to talk shop with him as much. But yeah, and when I started, part of it was I was looking to talk comics with people, and that's what it's really all about. And I don't care about views or making money on YouTube or any of that. If I can talk comics with people, that's what this is all about, and that's what it's about to me. So please leave a comment, leave a response. Let me know what you think about whatever comic, new or old, whatever. Let's keep this ball rolling.